And so over the years, people just kind of got to a point where they either called me by my last name or they called me TJ, and eventually those two things came together. And that's why the TJ demo. Botswana has about 2 million people. I'm not going to give you an entire geographical or history lesson, but it has about 2 million people. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I figured that since I was going to be in Singapore for only a handful of days, literally 4 nights I think it is, I was supposed to be on holiday, that I wouldn't see the same faces twice. I thought, oh, just kind of pick 10 poems and then do them in books actually on the first night, and then, you know, on the last evening do them again. And I'm seeing familiar faces and I'm wondering where the rest of your 5 million people are. But to cut a long story short, that was sort of by way of apology for those of you who heard some of these poems. They're not in any particular order, but let's get to it. 1. Leaping. This is not that river, portico filled with wet shadow and sand. This is deciduous memory, and it grates against whatever remains, whatever reasons, designs we have concealed. Each day concedes there is nothing, not one thing to take away from here. Yet we make work of shredding everything, and our hands clutching at round river rock tell us that some things stay rooted as ginkgo on the bank, while others erode into the current. Come tomorrow, you will not know why you cannot forget dogmata or fairy tale, or from adult memory erase the giver of this drink, whose fluorescent face turned your tactile midnight foam to foam in that loud morning light. 2. Our man in Gaborone. This is not Green's Havana, sockets in the limb of brutal serendipity. This is fire and shade. Still, we'd come from the Kalahari and found ourselves in the company of a man, the type to sleep standing, or not unlike a lizard, with one eye open, waiting to stay alive. We had been this way before, and knew there were no farms, not for miles, just acacia and sun. Still, this man was there, stained suitcase in hand, toes pointed up to cool his bare heels. And once we got past the shrubbery and sand, he spoke. Just keep driving, he said. Whatever happens, don't stop and don't look back. 1, 2, 3, nefarious. Next to where the river snakes, furthest from its own source, he finds them gathering coxcomb, a flurry of pink in the autumn air. He has been a resurrection fern, clinging half-dead to the periphery of their commonplace. Thrice he appears, and as such leaves them safe. So they know him for their verdant father, not apart from the familiarity of a gathered flower, the certainty of a serpent sibilant in the tall grass. Where else? That last night, he has returned to them, familiar at their shared window. Of course they let him in, these two who are not yet more than sap and promise. The morning is a different matter. There is no ceremony of breast and milk, bowl and flattened corn, just sound, remarkable in its absence. To this day, no one can recant what had passed before that morning began. How else to say, a mother went at night to bed and awoke to find her children gone. I'm really terrible at passing out poems and trying to unpack them and tell people what I think the poem is trying to say. And part of the trouble with that for me is that I do a lot of writing without necessarily thinking around a theme in advance or planning what it is I want to talk about. And so when I get asked what the poem